Hi again, so it's Jessica. So today we're going to be kind of playing around with some wheel cylinders. As you can see, we have one right here. We got a couple. We're going to go ahead and break it down and kind of show you guys all the different components and parts in it. This is part of your hydraulic system and your brakes, especially specifically in your rear drum brakes. We have the brake shoes that go onto the sides of the pistons, and when this is fully pressurized by the brake fluid, it extends the pistons out and causes your brake shoes to go ahead and catch onto your brake drum, which causes that friction, which then goes ahead and stops that wheel. And we have our wheel cylinder right here. This one actually tells you the bore size, which is 11/16 of an inch. So we have our dust boots over here. We have our little bleeder valve. We have our little screws where you put it into the backing plate, and we have where our brake line goes in. Over here, we can go ahead and pop off the dust boots like so. If you run into any issues, you can always use a little screwdriver. We have our little pistons right here, and again, this is where your brake shoe will fall into place. Again, we can go ahead and pop off these. Remember that dust boots are there to keep dust out, but not keep brake fluid in. So when you're doing your brake inspections, go ahead and kind of see if you can pop these off a little, just a little bit, to see if any brake fluid comes out, because if that does, then you're gonna need to replace your wheel cylinders. So we have our dust boots, and then we have our pistons. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab some pliers and go ahead and just pull and wiggle it out, like so. We're going to do it to the other side, like so. And then inside of our cylinder, we have a couple different components here. Let me get that out. So as you can see right here, we have the internal components of the cylinder. So we got our little seals like so. They are done in a certain way, so you want the little concave features to be on to the little plastic caps over here that are on the ends of the springs. So make sure you pay attention to that. Again, we have these little plastic caps right here. This helps to distribute all the pressure on the springs, because the spring is a little bit tinier. And then we have our spring right there. So what's cool about this is you see all of the components that are a part of this wheel cylinder. So if I turn it on over, this is completely hollow now. So it's a pretty simple little mechanism that we have working here. What's it called? When something's happening when you're doing your brake drums, and say if one of the pistons pop out of the wheel cylinder, it's pretty easy to just go ahead and clean it off and pop it back in, and you're not going to be damaging too much of anything. So you don't have to actually go ahead and replace the wheel cylinder unless like you see any leaks or any other components that might be giving you cause to go ahead and replace it. So you will be saving your customer some money, but just make sure that when you do that, you make sure you bleed the system when you put the wheel cylinder back together, because right at that point you have air that just came into the system. And as we talked about before, air in systems doesn't make the system happy. So as you can see here, we have our little bleeder valve. We've got a little cap covering it. So we can just go ahead and take a little wrench and we can pop it on off. Again, it might be using Snap-on, but you can use whatever you want. Hashtag not sponsored, although if you'd like to, or go ahead and reach out and contact us. So we have our little bleeder right there. And that is essentially your broken down wheel cylinder. So nothing too crazy complicated, but it does a lot. And again, when the pressure builds up in here from the brake fluid, it exerts enough pressure to go ahead and push those brake shoes out and stops your vehicle.